ज्ञानानन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Sri Namastaka series of classes which we are having on the 8 verses of Sri Namastaka composed by Srila Rupa Goswami. Up till now we have discussed 6 verses. Today we will go to the 7th verse. In the 6th verse we spoke about Vacham Vachakam Itti Udeti Bhavato Nama Swarupdayam. That there is Vacha and Vachakam. Vacha is the Lord, verbally expressible, and Vachakam is the verbal expression. That is the holy name, Dvaya Swarup. And among the two, the Vachaka is, very, very merciful. Hmm. And even if you have committed offense to the Lord, that is Vacha, you can become free from it by chanting taking the shelter of the all merciful Vachaka. So that's what was expressed in this verse. And we saw the commentary of Baldev Vidyabhushan and the explanation of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the last class. So today we will begin with text 7. Nanu namya aparadha द्वात्रिंशान्नाम्ना विनाशयोर नाम अपराधः साधु निंदादयो दशकेन विनाशयोर इति चेते पि Namne veti bhavanam aha sudita iti. He now anticipates the question that there is, now it has been explained in the previous verse, text 6, that there is no, there are these two swarupas, Vacha and Vachakam. And Vacha is the Lord, Vachaka is the Lord in the form of, Varna, that is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And the Vachaka is more merciful than the Vacha. And if you have committed offenses to Vacha, still by taking shelter of the Vachaka, you can immerse in yourself in the bliss of the holy name. So that was described in text 6. But text 7 is saying that, okay, but there is another thing. If you commit offenses to the holy name, that you have to avoid. There is no go for that. So that is being discussed now in the text 7 of Sri Namashtaka, and that's how Baldev Vidyabhushan is giving he's connecting the thread of thought between each of these verses. The 32 offenses to the holy named Vachaka are destroyed by chanting the holy name. Now, there is a note here. I have rendered Nami Aparad into offenses to the holy named. Abhinnatvam Nama Nami. So it is Nami Aparad. Offenses to the holy name. It refers to what is more commonly referred as Seva Aparad, offenses committed in the deity worship. So I also had mentioned, if you remember, that the Seva Aparads are the aparads to the Vacha. And unknowingly, if they are committed, when we take shelter of the holy name, they are also eradicated. And not only they are eradicated, they merge the chanter in the ocean of bliss first. But if you have intentionally committed Seva Aparad, and you take shelter of the names, thinking that, I will eradicate this Seva Aparad by taking name, then you get more implicated. So that's very clear, I hope. How are the 10 offenses to the holy name, such as offenses unto the saints, be destroyed? Vaishnava Sadhu Nindadayo. Sadhu Ninda begins with the 10 of the offenses to the holy name. Dashakena Vinashayor. How they can be destroyed? He states the text beginning with Sudita, with the idea that they are only also destroyed simply by chanting the holy name. So, Vinashayor iti chete api namne veti bhavavam aha sudita. So, by taking shelter again of nam only, the offenses to the 10 namaprads can be destroyed. Now, this requires clarification, and the clarification will further come in the commentary. So, kindly hold on. Okay, note 2, we have still not gone to the note 2. This is note 1. So, there are the Seva Aparads. The 32 offenses to the deity worship are enlisted in Appendix 3. So, this is the 32 offenses which are there in Appendix 3. We'll just have a brief look. They should be consciously avoided by those who desire success in chanting the holy names. Offenses can be destroyed, means the reactions to the offenses can be destroyed. So there is sinful reactions. Sinful reactions means the reactions to sins, pap. And then there are offensive reactions. So there are these two things. We have to clearly distinguish between the two. So these are offensive reactions. Reactions because of aparad, seva aparad. They can be destroyed by taking shelter of the holy name. So here offense can be destroyed means the reaction to the offenses can be destroyed. It is a fact that the reactions to offenses committed in deity worship unknowingly can be removed by chanting the holy names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So unknowingly, please remember that. I've been, hinting that, unknowingly. However, if such offenses in deity worship are committed on the strength of such chanting, with the consideration that the chanting of the holy names can neutralize the offenses in deity worship, such seva aparadhs certainly become the equivalent to nam aparadhs committed knowingly, which become obstacles to his spiritual progress. So this was the point I was making, that while doing seva, if there are any aparadhs and you're conscious about it, and without repenting and taking shelter of the holy name, you have an attitude that I have committed offense. Oh, just by chanting, I will become now free from that offense. With this mentality you chant, then that seva aparadh turns into nama aparadh. Namno baladeyasya papa buddhi. So that becomes further obstacle. Similarly, you commit a sin, adakena prayuktayam papam charati purusha. Because of the force of the vasanas, you Anichanapi Varshneya Baladiva Niyojisa. You commit some sinful activity while you're engaged in devotional service. And then, why did I get implicated in this activity? And you sincerely lament. But if you commit sin and you have a mentality that, oh, I've committed sin, now the holy name is very powerful. I'll take the holy name and become free from this sin, Papa. Papa Buddhi, if you have like this, then you commit the seventh offense. So that becomes an obstacle to the spiritual progress. That's the point. This is noted by Srila Vishwanath Chandra Thakur in his Madhur Kadamni, chapter 3, while discussing removal of reactions to Seva Aparadh. Interestingly, Srila Chakravarti Thakur concludes that discussion by stating that even in the Dharma Shastras, it is noted if a person engages in sinful activities on the strength of possible atonement prescribed in the Dharma Shastras for such sinful activities, his sinful reactions does not decrease. On the other hand, they increase. So, if somebody is not in the, following the Bhakti Shastras and practicing Bhakti, he's in the Karma Kanda Marg. And he also is very careful not to commit any sinful activities. But even if he commits, then he can sincerely atone by the atonement prescriptions given in the Dharma Shastras. But again, if he has a mentality and attitude that, I will perform this and become free from that papa. With that mentality, he performs those Dharma Shastra atonement activities, then he'll not become free from that sin. Rather, he'll become more implicated in the reactions. Same is also here with the Nama Prad. Seva Prad will turn into Nama Prad, and the offensive reaction will become multiplied. It will increase. Now, these are the Seva Prads. Uh, uh, okay, this is what is there in, again, Sanskrit transliteration, which we have already seen. Okay, now this is note 2. Note 2, we have still not gone to the verse. Note 2 is there. He states that beginning with Sudita, with the idea that they are also destroyed simply by chanting the holy name. So that note 2 we are going to now discuss. This should not be misunderstood. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan Prabhu is referring to destruction of reactions to Namaprad that have been committed unintentionally, not those that have been committed intentionally. So this verse is saying that, Seva Apradhs can be destroyed by chanting. Namaprads, the 10 offenses also can be destroyed by chanting the holy name. So this should not be misunderstood. This is the clarification given because this refers to unintentional. This will become evident in his commentary to text 7. It will become more clear. The 10 offenses to the holy names are enlisted in Appendix 3. So the 32 offenses are also enlisted in Appendix 3, and the 10 offenses are also, mentioned in Appendix 3 of the book. I will just show you. We'll be sharing. They should be avoided by those who desire success in chanting the holy names. Okay. Now, this is the appendix 3, offenses to be avoided, from Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary to Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1 to 118 to 120, along with Srila Prabhupada's paraphrase of it in the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 8, offenses to become avoided. Now, this is again in Sanskrit transliteration. I will not read this. I'll just read the English. In the supplementary Vedic literature, there are following list of 32 offenses in the matter of serving the Lord. Seva aprad agama anusarena ganyate. Okay, what are they? One should not enter the temple of the deity in a car, palanquin, or with shoes on feet. One should not fail to observe the various festivals for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality, such as Janmashtami and Rath Yatra. One should not avoid bowing down before the deity. One should not enter the temple to worship the Lord without having washed one's hands and feet after eating. One should not enter the temple in a contaminated state. One should not bow down with one hand. One should not circumambulate in front of the deity. One should not spread his legs before the deity. One should not sit before the deity holding the ankles, elbows, and knees with one hand. One should not lie down before the deity of Krishna. One should not accept prasad before the deity. One should never speak a lie before the deity. One should not talk very loudly before the deity. And nowadays, before when you're taking darshan in front of the deities, you're speaking on the mobile. Your mobile phone is ringing. That's, you should never do that in front of the deities. One should not talk with others before the deity. One should not cry or howl before the deity. One should not quarrel or fight before the deity. One should not chastise anyone before the deity. One should not be charitable to beggars before the deity. One should not speak very harshly to others before the deity. One should not wear a fur blanket before the deity. One should not eulogize or praise anyone else before the deity. One should not speak any ill names before the deity. One should not pass air before the deity. One should not fail to worship the deity according to one's means. One should not eat anything which is not offered first to Krishna. One should not fail to offer fresh fruits and grains to Krishna according to the season. One should offer food that has been cooked. No one should be offered any foodstuff unless it is first offered to the deity. One should not sit with his back towards the deity. One should not offer obeisances silently to the spiritual master, or in other words, one should recite aloud the prayers to the spiritual master while offering obeisances, like the pranam mantras. And this again, Deshakala Patra. I'm not going into each of those details. We have all studied that in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I'm just reading. One should not fail to offer some praise in the presence of the spiritual master. One should not praise himself before the spiritual master. One should not deride the demigods before the deity. So these are the 32 offenses. Now, here one point I would like to suggest, that one should make this list and keep it, and work on each of these. Like, the first one, try to recollect it every day and put a tick. Go to the second one, so that I consciously put efforts to avoid these 32 seva prads. And that's how you register it in your, heart memory, and try to implement it. And unknowingly, if you commit, then you have become conscious. Then next time you will, take more shelter of the holy name with the right attitude, so that you can avoid the seva prads. Varacha ye anye aparadaste sankshipta likhante. Now, there are these 32 offenses. There is another list from the Varapuran. So I'm just going through. One should not touch the deity in dark room. One should not fail to strictly follow the rules and regulations worshipping deity. One should not enter the deity without first making some sound. The ring bell is there. One should not offer any foodstuff which has been seen by dogs or other lower animals. One should not break silence while worshipping. One should not pass urine or evacuate while engaged. One should not offer incense without offering some flowers. Useless flowers without any fragrance should not be offered. One should not fail to wash his teeth very carefully every day. One should not enter the temple directly after sexual intercourse. One should not touch a woman during her menstrual period. One should not enter the temple after touching a dead body. One should not enter the temple wearing garments of red or blue color, or garments which are unwashed. This is very important. Red and blue sweaters we should not wear. One should not enter the temple after seeing a dead body. One should not pass air within the temple. Some are common, you can see. One should not be angry within the temple. One should not enter the temple after visiting a crematorium. One should not belch before the deity. That's why after food, we should not go before the deities because there is chance that you might belch. So until one has fully digested his food, we should not enter the temple. One should not smoke marijuana or ganja. One should not take opium or similar intoxicants. Prabhupada is transliterating this in the modern context also, although there is the mention in the verse. One should not enter the deity room, touch the body of the deity after being smeared with oil over his body. One should not show disrespect to a scripture teaching about the supremacy of the Lord. One should not introduce any opposing scripture. One should not chew betel before the deity. Betel nuts and pan, betel leaves also. One should not offer a flower which was kept in an unclean pot. One should not worship the Lord while sitting on a bare floor. One must have a sitting asana. One should not touch the deity before one has completed taking bath. One should not decorate his forehead with a three-lined tilaka. One should not enter the temple without washing his hands and feet. So these are the 29. Other rules are that one should not offer foodstuffs which is cooked by a non-Vaishnava. One should not worship the deity before a non-devotee. One should not engage himself in the worship of the Lord while seeing a non-devotee. One should begin the worship of the demigod Ganpati, who drives away all impediments in the execution of devotional service. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that Ganpati worships the lotus feet of Lord Narasimhadev and in that way has become auspicious for the devotees in clearing out all impediments. Therefore, all devotees should worship Ganpati. This is Prabhupada speaking here in his Nectar devotion. The deity should not be bathed in water which has been touched by the nails or fingers. When a devotee is perspiring, he should not engage himself in worshipping the deity. Similarly, there are many other prohibitions. For example, one should not cross a step over the flowers offered to the deity, nor one should take a vow in the name of God. These are all the different kinds of offenses in the matter of executing devotional service, and one should be careful to avoid them. Now, Ata Namaprada Padmukta from the Padma Puran. The offenses against the chanting of the holy names are as follows. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. To consider the names of demigod like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master, Guru Ravaga. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature and persons of Vedic version. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name, to not have complete faith on the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also has written an essay called as the Sri Hari Nam. The Sri Hari Nam focuses, as a summary, you can say, but quite philosophical, quite deep, the 10 offenses to be avoided in chanting the holy name. And he goes into each of these offenses and he gives a philosophical understanding and he makes a point that as long as one is not free from these 10 offenses, one cannot take actually Nam. Nam means Shuddha. So that is another article and we have discussed that entire discussion in one of our seminars. It is around 10 to 11 classes, I think. So this is about Namaprad, the 10 offenses. Now further, the footnote is continuing. Reference Chaitanya Charitamrit, Adi 824. Krishna nama kare aparadira vichar, Krishna bolile aparadira, na hoy vikar. There are offenses to be considered aparadira vichar while chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Krishna nama kare. Therefore, simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna boli aparadira, one who is taking aparadira, one does not become ecstatic. Na hoy vikar. So if you are not getting the ecstatic transformations on chanting the holy name, that means you are an aparadhi. who is committing aparad. Simple. Purport. It is very beneficial to chant Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda before chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because by chanting these two holy names, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, one immediately becomes ecstatic. And if he then chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he becomes free from offenses. There are 10 offenses to avoid in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The first offense is to blaspheme great personalities who are engaged in distributing the holy name. It is said in the Shastra, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan. One cannot distribute the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mantra unless he is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should not criticize or blaspheme a devotee who is thus engaged. Sadhu Ninda. In Sri Padma Puran states, Satam Nindam Namna Paramam Apradam Vitanute Yata Khyatim Yatam Katam U Sahate Tad Vikrayam. To blaspheme a great saintly persons who are engaged in preaching the glories of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the worst offense at the lotus feet of the holy name. One should not criticize a preacher of the glories of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. If one does so, he is an offender. The Nam Prabhu, who is identical with Krishna, will never tolerate such blasphemous activities, even from one who passes as a great devotee. So the first offense, Prabhupada is just speaking briefly. Now, you have not committed offense to the holy name. You have committed offense to a sadhu, because that sadhu is carrying the holy name in his heart. And because of him, the preaching of the holy name is happening. Through him, the glories of the holy name are spread. So he is a propagator of the holy name. So the holy name takes that offense. That's the point. Second Namaprad. Shivasya Shri Vishnuri Yaha Iha Guna Namadi Sakalam Dhiya Binnam Pashet Sakalo Hari Namahatya Nama Hita Kara. In this material world, the holy name of Vishnu is all auspicious. Shivasya Shri Vishnu. Vishnu's name, form, qualities, and pastimes are all transcendental. Iha guna namadi sakalam. Absolute knowledge. Therefore, if one tries to separate the absolute truth, personality of Godhead from his holy name or his transcendental form, qualities, and pastime, dhiya binnam pashet, thinking them to be material, that is offensive. Sakalo nama hari nama hita kara. Similarly, to think the names of demigods such as Lord Shiva are as good as the name of Lord Vishnu, or in other words, to think that Lord Shiva and the other demigods are other forms of God and are therefore equal to Vishnu, is also blasphemous. So there are two understandings here, and both the explanations propose. This is the second offense to the lotus feet of the holy name. The third offense at the lotus feet of the holy name, which is called Guru Avagya, is to consider the spiritual master to be material and therefore to envy his exalted position. The fourth offense, Shruti Shastra Nindanam, is to blaspheme Vedic literatures such as the four Vedas and the Puranas. The fifth offense, Arthavadha, is to consider the glories of the holy name to be exaggerations. Similarly, the sixth offense, Hari Namni Kalpanam, is to consider the holy name of the Lord to be imaginary. The seventh offense is described as follows. Namno balade yasya hi papa buddhir na vidyate tasya yamera hi shuddhi. To think that since the Hare Krishna Mahamantra can counteract all sinful reactions, one may therefore go on with his sinful activities and at the same time chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is to neutralize them. To neutralize them is the greatest offense to the lotus feet of Sri Harinam. So, yeah, this is the seventh. Then the eighth offense is Dharma Vrata Tyag Hutadi Sarva Shubha Kriya Samyam Api Pramadaha. It is offensive, pramada, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra to be a religious, ritualistic ceremony. Dharma Vrata Tyag Hutadi. Performing religious service, following vows, and practicing renunciation and sacrifice of all are all materialistic auspicious activities. Shubha Kriya, Sarva Shubha Kriya. The chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra must not be considered to be such materialistic religiosity. This is an offense to the lotus feet of the holy name of Lord. The ninth offense is as described, Ashraddhana Vimuke Apya Ashrunavati Yaschopadesha Shiva Nama Parada. It is an offense to preach the glories of the holy name amongst persons who have no intelligence or no faith in the subject matter. Such people should be given the chance to hear the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, but in the beginning, they should not be instructed about the glories and the spiritual significance of the holy name. By constant hearing of the holy name, their hearts will be purified, and then they will be able to understand the transcendental position of the holy name. A lot of explanation in the translation Prabhupada is giving. The 10th offense is Shrutepi Nama Mahatme Yah Priti Rahito Nara Aham Mamadi Paramo Namni Sopi Aparadakrit. If one has heard the glories of the transcendental holy name of the Lord, but nevertheless continues in a materialistic concept of life, thinking I am this body and everything belongs to this body of mine, Aham Ameti, and does not show respect and love to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, that is an offense. The holy name of Krishna takes offenses into consideration. Offenders are not changed by chanting the holy name. Please mark this, they are not changed. So now the footnotes are over. The connection was mentioned. Now we are going to go to the actual text. So anyone has any questions up till now, what we have discussed? Anyone has any questions? Now, again, we are not going to go into detail of these 32 Seva Aparats from the Vara Puran and other Puran, which is mentioned, nor into the 10 offenses. As I mentioned, the 10 offenses are discussed in article of Bhaktivinoda Thakur Sri Harinam, and more in detail in the Sri Harinam Chintamani. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has devoted one chapter to each of these offenses. And then he has devoted an entire chapter to inattention while chanting, which is called as Namaprad Pramad. So we cannot go into that. These are separate subjects, and we'll have to refer Harinam Chintamani, Sri Harinam for that. But any clarification, anything anyone has up till now before we go into the verse 7? Okay, so let's go to now text 7. सुदिताश्रित जनार्तिराशये रम्य चित्तगण सुख स्वरूपिणे नाम गोकुल महोत्सवायते कृष्ण पूर्ण वपुसे नमो नमः सुदिताश्रित जनार्तिराशये रम्य चित्तगण सुख स्वरूपिणे नाम गोकुल महोत्सवायते कृष्ण पूर्ण वपुसे नमो नमः सुदिताश्रित जनार्तिराशये रम्य चित्तगण सुख स्वरूपिणे नाम गोकुल महोत्सायते कृष्ण पूर्ण वपुसे namo namaha. Anyone would like to try to recite verse 7? Okay. Priya Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण। सुदित आश्रिता जनार्तिराशये रम्या चिद्घना सुखा स्वरूपिणे नामा गोकुला महोत्सवायते कृष्ण पूर्णा वापुसे नमो नमः।
Excellent. Vapuse. Vapuse ne, Vapuse. Excellent. Very, very good. Anyone else would like to give a try from the Prabhuji side? Radha Jivan Prabhuji. Yes.
दीपस्फितजनार्तिरसये रम्यचिद्गानसुखस्वरूपिणे नामगोकुलमहोत्सवाय ते कृष्णपूर्णवपुषे नमो नमः।
Excellent. Okay, Swati Kulkarni Mataji. One second, just a minute. I'll only unmute you all, otherwise there can be some background disturbance. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Am I audible?
Yes.
Sudita Shrita Jana Stirashaye Ramyachidghana Sukha Swarupine Nama Gokula Mohosva Nama Gokula Mohosva how to pronounce this Prabhuji?
Nama Gokula Mahotsavayate. Mahotsava
Na-
is there and Ayate is there. Mahotsavayate.
नाम गोकुल महोत्सवायते कृष्ण पूर्ण वपुषे नमो नमः हरे
Excellent.
कृष्ण
Excellent. O holy name, Nama. Sambodhan it is. O Krishna, Krishna, my repeated obeisances. Namo Namaha. Namo Namah. Twice it has come, so repeated. Unto you, Te, who destroys the sufferings of those who have taken shelter of you. Sudit Ashrita Janarti Rashaye. Who destroys Rashi. Arti means no Chaturudha Bhajante Mam Jana Sukritana Arjuno. No, Chaturvidha Bhajante Mam Jana Sukritana Arjuna. Artho Jigyasu Artharti Jnani Cha Bharatarshava. So that artha here, same it is. The form of pleasing concentrated spiritual bliss. Ramya Chit Ghana Sukha Swarupini. It's concentrated bliss. A great festival for Gokul. Gokul Mahotsavai and one of perfect form. Purna Vapuse. So I was just other day, you know, mentioning that there is in these 8 verses a kind of flow where you can map the 9 stages of devotion. Just like in the Shikshashtakam, the first verse is Shraddha. Of course, it is pure faith. Perfected 7 perfections are mentioned. And the second verse is, Sadhu Sangha Bhajan Kriya Anarth Nivriti. The third verse, that is Trunadapi Sunichena, is Nishta. So similarly, I have not done that study. Of course, I will refer to uh, other exalted spiritual masters and take their reference. But very clearly, we can see from the first verse, uh, the liberated souls sing, uh, Mukta Kule Rupaya, and I take shelter. So, with understanding this is the glory of the holy name, I take shelter. This is faith. And then the second verse, Jayanam Muni Vrinda Geha Janaranjanaya Paramakshar Twam Anadara Tapi Managudir Nikil Ugra Tap Patilim. So this is Sadhu Sangha Bhajan Kriya Anarth Nivritya. Of course, because you cannot chant Dhrida Vrata as long as Anarthas have not gone. So this definitely referred to that stage. And then in the third verse, it is there that Yad Habas, So now you have come to the Namabha stage, because one has to be liberated to come to the Namabha stage, and then Shuddha Bhakti begins. That it will bestow Bhakti, it is mentioned. Bhakti Pranayinim. So that is Shuddha Bhakti, exclusive devotion. So this is mentioned in text 4. This can be Nishta and further stages. And then further destruction, without experiencing even the prarabdha karma, that, is, without experiencing, this is again the glory of the holy name. Of course, with that chanting of Namabas and further going ahead with Nishta Ruchi, it will happen. But now you have developed taste. And verse 5 gives that taste. Tvai rati mama rati. So, attraction, attachment to the holy names. And now, verse 6 mentions how merciful is the holy name. how merciful it is, the holy name. Karuna, how merciful it is by taking shelter. And the avoidance of Nam Aparad and Seva Aparad. Understanding this mercy, avoidance of the holy name is given in verse 7. And not only that, the chanter has now developed, you can say, uh, he is developed, he's in the Mahotsava. He's experiencing deep concentrated bliss. So this definitely refers to bhava and prema stages also. Yeah, bhava and prema stages, and that's why he's now worshipping the holy name. You know, who takes away all the suffering, even Vaishnava aparadhas also it takes away, because the aparadutta anarthas also get destroyed. So, and he's here in the text 5, you can see Agadhamana, Yashodanandana. He's now taking ruchi in chanting these names. So that's how you can draw parallels. Definitely, it is quite a you can say comparative analysis. But of course, I will further. I've just spontaneously it came to me, and I'm just speaking it. I just pray that it is not out of my mental speculation, but definitely I'll clarify this with even with Van Gauram Prabhu and Bhanu Swami Maharaj. Okay. Hey Nam, Hey Krishna, Te Tubhyam Namo Nama. O holy name, Hey Nam, O Krishna, Hey Krishna, my repeated obeisances unto you. Tubhyam Namo Nama. Tubhyam means to you. Namo Nama, repeated. Te ki drishyate aha. Of what nature are you to whom obeisances are offered? What is your nature? Sudito vina sita ashrita jananam arti rashir nama pradhanto yena tasme. To you by whom sufferings jananam arti rashir, including offenses unto your holy names, nama pradhanto, of those who have taken shelter of you are destroyed. Sudito vinashita tasmai. Okay, note. Sufferings in the life of a devotee are caused either by the Supreme Lord himself, or in order to extricate him from the entanglements of Maya, or by offenses. These are the only two reasons why the devotee suffers. The sufferings in the life of a devotee. And this again requires a very fine, minute discrimination and understanding how to know whether one is suffering because of the Lord's mercy or uh, because of offenses, or the sufferings are coming because I'm still undergoing kleshagni. When the sufferings are because of the Lord and because of offenses, you're not able to do your bhajan. But when the sufferings come because of aparadhs and because of kleshagni, that always obstructs your bhajan. So although you're going through suffering, but you're relishing internally now. Bhakti Tirth Maharaj is the classic example we can see in the modern context. He was having a cancer, which was a bone cancer, and he was going through excruciating pain. But the bliss he was experiencing, he said, I can never trade this to anything, the ecstasy. So that is how we can get a little glimpse, the difference. This is set out by Srila Vishnu Chakra Thakur in his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 10. Bhaktanam drishtam sukham bhakti phalam eva. Dukkam tu yasyam anugrami harishye tad dhanam shane. Ato dhanam tejanti asya swajana dukkha dukkitam. इत्यादि भगवत वचनाद भगवत उत्तम भक्ति अपराध फलम चेति यथा योग्यम विविच्य नियम. Since the offenses under the holy names are the causes of sufferings in the life of a devotee, they have been included under the category of sufferings. Bhaktanam drisham sukham bhakti phalam. This is the translation here. This is similar to Srila Rupa Swami, including sinful activities under the headings of sufferings in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 119. Klesham tu papam tad bijam avidya cheti te tridha. So, since the offenses unto the holy names are the causes of sufferings in the life of a devotee, they have been included in the category of sufferings. So, usually the sufferings of the devotee are due to offenses, either Namaprad or Vaishnav Aparad. And that's why sinful activities, Papa, they are included in Kleshagni. In Klesh Agni is there, no? Klesh Agni, it is included. Okay. Now further, for it is stated in the Smriti, Jate naam aparade tu pramadena kadanchana sada sankirtayan nama tad eka sharano bhavet. However, when an offense to the holy name occurs somehow by mistake, by constantly engaging in Nam Sankirtan, one should become exclusively surrendered unto him. So, unknowingly, by mistake, if you commit any Nam Aprad, then constant engagement is the remedy. Note again, this statement of Sanat Kumar to Sri Narad in the Padma Puran occurs in Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.525. Acharya Sanatan Goswami comments, Kadachana pramadena brahmena jate sati tad nameva ekam sharanam ashayo yasya tata bhuto bhavet sarvata nama paro bhavet itya artha. Somehow, if unknowingly jate, by mistake, an offense to the holy name occurs, one must exclusively take shelter of the holy name. That's why Prabhupada mentions many times in his purports that if one has to come from the Namaprad stage, one should completely take shelter of the holy name by continuous chanting of the holy name. One must become absolutely focused in the holy name. This is the meaning. One might wonder, why bother about Namaprad committed unknowingly in the first place? After all, they are committed unknowingly and unintentionally. But the matter is not settled so easily and irresponsibly. In the Lord's system of jurisprudence means justice, sinful activities are taken into account even if they are committed unknowingly or unintentionally, as we see in the history of King Riga, found in chapter 64 of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. However, we know that King Riga unknowingly gave that cow which I had already given to one Brahmana. That same cow came back to the cowshed. He gave it to another Brahmana and he got implicated. He did not know. And, you know, he had to suffer for that. However, the holy name of Krishna is so overwhelmingly compassionate. So this is in terms of, the normal activities of dharma, not pure bhakti. Please remember in the case of Nringa. However, the holy name of Krishna is so overwhelmingly compassionate upon the conditioned souls that he does not consider Namaprad committed by them unknowingly or unintentionally as a special exception to the general Vedic arrangement of punishing those who are engaged in forbidden activities, even unknowingly or unintentionally. Now, further, Namaprada Yuktanam Nama Eva Haranti Agam Avishanti Prayuktani Tani Artha Karanicha Iti Smaranat. The Smritis also state the holy name themselves, when uttered tirelessly, destroy the sinful reactions of those endowed with offenses to the holy name, and they become the causes of them attaining the goal of life. Now, this is a very, very important verse. This is again from the Padma Puran, I guess. Yes, it is from the Padma Puran. Now, one who is, uh, having Namaprad Yuktanam, Nama eva haranti agam, the holy name themselves, when they are uttered tirelessly. Tirelessly means continuously. This is the point here. Now, let's go into the footnote and it will become more clear. This is another statement of Sri Narad to Sanat Kumar in the Padma Puran, and it occurs in the Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.522. But this verse should not be misunderstood. Now, this can be a misunderstood verse. That's why we'll hear very carefully. In Madhurya Kadamni, chapter 3, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes it very clear that one cannot overcome reactions to Nam Aparad committed knowingly simply by taking to ceaseless chanting of the holy names on the strength of the above referenced verse from the Padma Puran. So, if one commits knowingly Vaishnava Aparad and he takes shelter of continuous chanting, that continuous chanting is going to increase the aparad. But this verse is saying that no, this verse has to be thoroughly understood. Rather, one should rectify himself using prescribed methods for each of the 10 offenses to the holy name committed knowingly as prescribed in the scriptures. So if one has committed a Vaishnava aparad, then the scriptures recommend that one should go to that Vaishnava and beg forgiveness. And not only that, that Vaishnava, should forgive him Shama, and he should attain the Anugrah, Kripa of that Vaishnava by serving that Vaishnava. Then the sinful reactions are completely destroyed of that, Vaishnava Aparad. And even if that Vaishnava doesn't forgive, then also, after asking forgiveness, after serving for a long time, still his anger doesn't come down. You should not say, oh, what kind of a Vaishnava? Vaishnava means he has to have good qualities. He has not forgiven me. He's not forgiving me in spite of me so many times asking forgiveness, so many times serving him. Then if you think like that, you commit more offense. On the other hand, if you think, oh, this, let me take shelter of the holy name and continuously chant and become free from this Vaishnava Aparad, then you get more implicated. So this is the verse which applies to unknowingly only. That time you should take, again, tirelessly shelter of the holy name. But knowingly you are committed, then you have to follow the prescribed procedures. Okay, I'll not read this. This all is the translation of that Sanskrit. This here, the footnote translation is here in Sanskrit, so I'm not going to read this. Vritan apradhanam shamayata sampratikebhyo vinivrittena sarvada prayuktani japatani bodham. This should be understood to refer the holy name chanted constantly by the person suffering from the reaction of previous offenses and who has disassociated himself from current offenses, for it is stated in the Smriti. So, the continuous chanting of the holy name is by person suffering from the reactions of previous offenses, not the present ones. And he is also disassociated from the current offenses. Aparad vimukto hi namni yatnam samacharet iti smaranat. Indeed, having become liberated from offenses, one should endeavor to utter the holy name. So the continuous chanting of the holy name also will happen when one becomes free from offenses, Namabha stage. And there is also continuous chanting in the Namaprad stage where one chants in order to become free from the offenses. But that is a struggle, battle. But once one becomes free from these offenses, reactions, then that chanting, continuous chanting is out of pleasure because one is attracted to the holy name. And then that real advancement begins. Okay, footnote again. A commentary on text 25 of the Brahmanda Purana's Krishna Ashtotara Shata Nama Sutra by Vrindavan Das, a god brother of Srila Baldev, writes, Aprad vimukto hi namni yatnam samachara nameva tava devrishe sarvam setyati nanyata iti padme. It is stated in the Padma Puran, having become liberated from offenses, endeavor to chant the holy name. O Devrishi, merely through the holy name you will attain all perfection. There is no other way. So I was mentioning how from Namaprad, to become free from Namaprad, you should try to continuously chant. And if you consciously commit any offense, you have to, based on the scriptures, do the remedial measures. And by that continuous chanting, the previous offenses what you have committed unknowingly, all and the current all get eradicated. Then you come to the stage of Namabhas, where now the chanting becomes more continuous. And there you're situated on a transcendental, you're on the liberated position because Namabhas is liberated. And then you will attain Shuddhanam. That means you'll attain perfection. There is no other way. Thus, it is clear that after one has rectified himself according to the prescribed methods for each of the 10 offenses he has committed in the past, without committing further offense, one is instructed to take the process of exclusive chanting of the holy names. Punaste ki drishaya. Again, of what nature are you to whom obeisances is offered? Ramyam chid ganam yat sukam tat swarupine nama chintamani Krishna iti adaya. The answer is stated, O one whose nature is that of pleasure concentrated, spiritual bliss. For it is stated in texts such as the holy name is a touchstone and Krishna himself. Nama Chintamani Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. This we have already seen. And then he is now experiencing Sandranand Visheshatma, which refers to the Prema stage. Punaste Kidrisha. Again, of what nature are you to whom obeisance is offered? Gokulasya Mahan Utsavo Yasma Tasme Purna Vapusha Vyapakaya. The answer is stated as to that person because of whom there is a great festival for Gokul Mahotsava, to one of perfect form, Purna Vapuse, that is, to the all-pervading Lord. Vyapaka means all-pervading. So that completes Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary, which is also a little philosophical, as you saw. So we will take Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary tomorrow on text 7. But any questions you have? Any questions, any clarifications? Veer Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Just one clarification. Sometimes, most of the times, because of our material vision, even we don't commit gross Vaishnava aparadh, but mentally sometimes it happens. So, what could be particular remedy for that?
Whether it is gross or subtle, gross, at least you should be, you are aware, you are conscious about it. At a subtle level, because of our anarthas, we can't recognize also. But as you start advancing, the subtle also you can see. And initially you might not able to see, but even when you see the subtle and you become conscious and recognize, even for that also, you should ask forgiveness. You should ask forgiveness because that has effect. At a subtle way, in your sadhana, you'll be able to detect. And then immediately you have to rectify it. Is it okay?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Yes. Any other questions? Yes, Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So in case of Vaishnava Aparadh, we should humbly offer seva to that Vaishnava and keep chanting and ask for forgiveness.
Okay. No, that procedure is there in the Madhurya Kadamani and also more in detail in Sri Harinam Chintamani when an entire chapter is devoted to the first offense. I did not go into the detail because that's not the subject here, but I'll just summarize. The moment you commit a Vaishnava Aparadh, you have burnt that devotee's heart. The first thing you have to do is you have to go and ask forgiveness. But before you go and ask forgiveness, the first step is that you have to burn in the fire of repentance. Oh, what kind of a rascal I am that I've committed an offense to a Vaishnava. what kind of, he has to really genuinely burn in the fire of repentance. Because if he doesn't do that, he will just go and just from, lip service, oh, please forgive me, Prabhu. It's not genuinely coming from the heart because he has not burnt in the fire of repentance. So you have burnt somebody's heart, you have to burn in the fire of repentance. This is the first thing. You have to go and ask forgiveness and serve that Vaishnava so that you can get his anugraha. If you just go and ask forgiveness, you know, you will still suffer the sinful reactions. The sinful reactions will come. Daksha, after he went and asked forgiveness to Shiva, but still in the next birth, he suffered the sinful reactions and he again committed offenses. Indra, after the Govardhan Leela, asked forgiveness to Krishna, but still he did not burn in the fire of repentance completely. And it did not come deeply from the heart. So he again committed offenses. So one has to ultimately attain the anugrah of that Vaishnava by serving sincerely. Knowingly, unknowingly, you can serve that Vaishnava. And really, with a genuine heart, we should do that service. And then, that sinful reactions completely get destroyed because of that sinful aparad. And then, even after serving, genuinely, he still doesn't, bestow his mercy, then you can take, continuous shelter of the holy name. And with sincerity, the Nam Prabhu understands after these 4 stages have happened, then that chanting will absolve you from that sinful reaction committed against that Vaishnava. So these are the steps in that. Is it clear?
Yes, and in case of Nam Aparaj, we should carefully every day read those 10 offenses and then chant so that.
You should carefully read and chant and carefully see that you avoid each of the 10 offenses. So we have to go into the detail of each of these 10 offenses. What are they?
Yes.
Just not by mere reading will understand. There are, very fine things given in that. And that's why I mentioned that the Sri Harinam discusses these 10
Yes.
offenses in detail and more in the Sri Harinam Chintamani. We should read these books and have a clear understanding of these 10 offenses. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, as long as one is infected with these 10 offenses, he cannot taste the holy name. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Any other questions anyone has? Okay, so we will stop here. Thank you very, very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Namashtaka ki Jai. Shri Rupa Goswami Pad ki Jai. Hare Krishna.